Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is James and welcome back to Soundline. Today's video is about the Hi-Fi Show 2025 in Tokyo. So for those of you who are unaware, recently I was fortunate enough to go to Tokyo with Terry and check out the 3-day Hi-Fi Show that they had on there in October. While we were there, we were also fortunate enough to be able to go to the Accuphase factory and tour that and meet all the team from Accuphase, which was really awesome. That is a separate video that we'll be releasing very shortly after this one. And I know some of you have been waiting quite eagerly to see that, so thank you for your patience. I'm sorry, I've just been kind of busy and been trying to figure out how best to sort of film this aspect of it. I did sort of, like when I got there, start doing a bit of vlogging stuff, talking to the camera and that sort of thing, but I got kind of camera shy and awkward pretty shortly after we started, so I ended up, for both scenarios, kind of just filming what I saw and figured I'd come back here, sit down with my laptop, look through all my footage and sort of give you guys an idea of what I saw and what I thought of certain things. And yeah, that's basically what we're going to do here today. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Quick PSA, I'm going to be honest about what I thought about all the product at the show and what I thought of the sound of it and that sort of thing. Obviously it all sounds good. It's high-end equipment, it's high-end stereo systems, everything is good. But as you know, hi-fi equipment and sound and music is very subjective. There is stuff that I really enjoyed. There is some stuff that I listened to that I wasn't really a big fan of. So yeah, let's just get that out of the way now. There might be some stuff that some of you may own in this video that I might say, wasn't really for me. So without further ado, I'm going to hit play on this video and yeah, hope you enjoy this video. So this is the convention center. It's called the International Tokyo Forum. It's a really cool, big, multi-level story thing. You can see it's kind of like, 7 odd stories. Actually a really good sounding convention center. Terry's always told me that of all the hi-fi shows he's been to, the Tokyo International Forum, like the rooms for demonstration are probably the best in the world. It's not as good as a dedicated listening room like the one that I'm in now, but the rooms at least are somewhat treated and they have some deadness to them, whereas apparently a lot of the rooms at like the big Munich high-end shows and Sydney and stuff like that are quite live and snappy and paper-thin walls, so you can hear all the speakers from room to room. So I think I, got a fairly good sense of what the systems were sounding like, because it's supposed to be a good room. Room number 1 was TAD, an awesome room to start with. They had, you can see here in the middle, they had the new TAD Micro Evolution 1 TX. They were the first ones we listened to, which is the latest generation of the smallest stand mount speaker they do. And off to the back and behind, you can see the new Evolution 1 TX, which is their latest floor standing speaker. Big differences between these models and some of their predecessors. The new Micro Evolution 1 TX now has the molecular deposit style beryllium tweeter, whereas the previous model it was stamped beryllium, which is why recently the price of these Micro Evolutions did go up quite a bit, and a lot of people wondered about that. They were also showcasing this. This is their new integrated amplifier. We've never really gotten into TAD electronics. It's not because we don't like it. It is very, very good equipment. It is fairly expensive though. But from what I heard, all of this TAD equipment, very, very good sounding. This is the Evolution range that you see here that kind of goes with their Evolution stand mount speakers and floor mount speakers. So yeah, we listened to these a fair bit. It was probably one of my favorite rooms. There you go, you can see the old tweeter for the old Micro Evolution one and the new one. You can see just there, the one on the left, that's the old one, which is the stamped beryllium. The one on the right is the molecular deposit beryllium tweeter, which is how they do the tweeter for their whole range, like all through the reference and everything like that. Really, really nice speakers. I think they were doing them in a couple of new finishes. The micros were coming in this kind of cool green color that you can see there. But other than that, normally as standard, gloss black and gloss white. So yeah, that was TAD room. Probably one of the best sounding rooms at the show, if I'm honest. Next up was Sonus Faber. They had the, what are these called? What are these big flat things called? I've forgotten the name. But yeah, they were playing these. The Sonus Faber room had Burmeister Electronics running it. You can see you've got some Sonito G2s there. There's a little Amati, the new Amati sitting back there, which you'll see in a second. Pretty cool big amps, the Burmeisters. I've never really listened to Burmeister or had much experience with them, but they look cool. They had this awesome big cable out display at the back. I actually don't know what brand it was. Siltec. Okay, pretty impressive looking. Some more stand mount speakers. These are the ones with that marble base on them. I forget the name of them. The Armator. Lector Armator 3. Yeah, very pretty, those ones. The Sonitos, very familiar with those. We sell quite a few of them. Yeah, this was cool. Basso Continuo. You'll see as the video progresses, there was a fair bit of Basso Continuo racking at the show. I was quite impressed. I didn't realize it was that popular. But this is the Sonus Faber Basso Continuo crossover sort of thing. So it's got the leather and the matching wood grain inserted into it. Really nice looking rack. Yeah, they got Basso Continuo Ultra Feet. I really like them. Big fan of those products. This is cool. This is by KL Audio. They make ultrasonic record cleaning machines, and I believe this is just actually a record player. It's just a really unique looking one with bright blue LEDs playing through the glass. Pretty high-tech tone arm. This was funny. It's like that's like a 40 or 50 kilo speaker that this guy just lifted up and put down. I just filmed that because I thought it was kind of funny. We would never really do that here. We move all of our speakers either to people or on a very well fabric wrapped sack barrow. That's the racking for that room. So there's Basso Continuo again, the reference stuff on the right, and the Aeon light on the left. Actually, I didn't take a good enough look at that. I wish I had looked closer at that because we've had some customers ask about that. Little Lumen P1, yeah, Lumen P1 sneaking, hiding down there is their streaming service, streaming product for that system. And you can see there's the mid-range, that high-frequency pod for the Amati. This is one of the designers from Sonus Faber. He's going to talk a little bit about the Amati Suprema. I will let this play, and if you don't want to sit through the next, I think it's like 5 minutes of him just talking, just skip to this timestamp here, and we'll carry on with the show.
Thank you very much for the hospitality in your beautiful country.
I filmed this part because it was one of the only rooms where the person talking about the product was actually speaking English, so I thought we might as well film it and see if people want to watch it.
In Vicenza, Italy, we still believe in the direction of our founder. So we believe that music comes first, and the sound must be always natural. And the system is serving the music, not the other way. So in 2024, we decided to increase the performance level of our speakers. And so for that reason, we introduced Suprema, which is our flagship. So to increase the performance of our speaker, we decided to redesign completely all the drivers. So 2 years later, with that same technology that we created for Suprema, we are introducing the Amati Suprema. The challenge for the engineers when we create Suprema was to increase the speed, the resolution, and the transparency of our loudspeakers. So to do that, we design all these new elements that in this case are exactly the same of Suprema, the flagship loudspeaker. The biggest innovation in this new technology are 4 different innovations. The first one is the Camellia mid-range, which is the first and only dual drive design mid-range on the market. So the coil inside the magnet, instead of being just one, in this case it are 2, and are working in push-pull to have a much more better control of the excursion of the driver. So with the current of the amplifier, we are basically controlling any millimeters of excursion of this driver. So this gives you much more resolution, much more control, and also the distortion goes very, very low. The second innovation is the use of the double tweeter. Why we introduced two tweeters? Because with the Suprema, we wanted to reach 40 kilohertz to better rebuild the soundstage. But since we are still using natural materials like silk in this case, we split the tweeter in two. So the tweeters can handle much more power, and they can, and so the distortion again is very, very low because the tweeters are working in a very relaxed way. The third innovation is the use of recycled cork for the enclosure. Cork is a natural material, and it's naturally damped. So with the use of cork, with this particular shape that we created with computer simulators, we are able to eliminate all the damping material inside the chamber of the meter. So all the energy that the driver is able to reproduce is for the listener. We are not killing energy inside the chamber. And the fourth innovation, which is important as the other one, is the new crossover that we are using since many years now, but this is the latest in the development, which is coming again from the Suprema, and it's a technology that we call phase coherent. So with this new topology of crossover, we are aligning perfectly not only the frequency response, but every driver is aligned in time. So even if we go up with the volume, the sound is arriving to you at the same instant, and this will makes the sound stage always better. So now I will play a selection of 4 songs. Enjoy the listening session, and if you have questions, I'm here. Thank you very much.
So the Amatis, they sounded good. They sounded like Sonus Faber. You know, they sounded just like a Sonus Faber. If I'm honest, there was nothing really standoutish about the new Amati that made me think, wow, that's a new level for Sonus Faber. Don't know how I feel about the finish of them either. This kind of painted orange finish. Like they're typically such a wood grain focused brand. I don't really know how I feel about the finish of them. Next room. Eleston or Celeston speakers. I can't remember the name of them. Pretty cool looking speakers. Terry was saying that the designer of these speakers used to work for Sonus Faber, so that very much explains the shape and the string grill and that sort of thing. I really like these ones. These are cool. They got tiny wee bass drivers, big luted shape, beautiful burl wood grain on the side, and then a chrome mirror finish top on it, which I really like them. I think they're really sexy speakers. And then in the middle there you see that, I don't know if that's a power amp or an integrated amp, huge big thing, sitting on another Basso Continuo amp stand, one of the more top-end ones. I thought this room sounded pretty good. It was a little bit on the bright side, but you never really know exactly what you're listening to when it comes to systems with cables and gear that you're not familiar with. Pretty cool looking speakers, these things though. Available in different colours and stuff, obviously. Yeah, it's a cool amp stand. I really like that. It's I think that's like the Basso Continuo Ultimate line. Yeah, beefy looking thing. Looks like, yeah, I got a bit closer and I did take a look at it. Basso Continuo. Yeah, these are the speakers. I really like the look of these. So you see, they've got this mirrored finish on the top. It's really cool. Hopefully, I don't know if it'll be good for fingerprints or not, but really pretty. This is the next room. I forget the name of these speakers, but it was all chord electronics. You can see they've got their interesting stack things where everything's mounted on these vertical rails. So all chord electronics along the right hand side. These are kind of cool. I just like the heat sinks on these little tube amps. Pathos or something like that. This was, I don't remember these. This was the monitor audio room, so there's a fair bit to see in here. These middle two speakers that are currently playing, these aren't monitor audio, they're another brand that I'm not familiar with. They're kind of cool though. You see those top mid tweeter boxes? They pivot relative to the bass cabinets below, which I think is a cool idea because it means you can kind of angle the bass cabinets to suit the acoustics of your room to prevent like standing waves and that sort of thing, and then you can still point the mid-range and tweeter completely on axis or slightly off axis if you want. So they were cool and good sounding. But here's all the monitor audio stuff. We're very familiar with this. All the silver and gold series. Some studios there. Yeah, there was a Platinum 300 sitting at the back. I hadn't seen the Platinum 300 before, and there it is next to the Hyphen. The Hyphen's a big speaker. The Platinum 300 is a pretty beefy boy as well. There you go, it's sitting next to. I didn't realize how big the Platinum 300 was until I saw it in person. With a linear tracking turntable. Esoteric power supplies. This was kind of cool. I actually don't know what this is, but I just took a wee shot of it. It's like an active soundbar with a volume control and a CD slot built into it. I thought that's kind of a cool wee TV system. Don't know what it is though. Accuphase room, right. New C57 phono preamplifier, replacing the C47. New E800S replacing the E800. That had already been announced. We knew about that, but I hadn't seen it yet. New C3900S. This was one of the main products we were here to see. So new top-end preamp from Accuphase. I got to hear that at the Accuphase tour, and you'll have to watch that video to hear my impressions of it. Using Bowers & Wilkins 800s and Fyne speakers, because those are the two most popular sort of brands that end up going with Accuphase in Japan. They're both very popular there. I think these speakers actually belong to Accuphase. So they had basically everything there, everything that Accuphase had to offer. You can see in the back left there's a wee, couldn't see it, DG68 graphic equalizer, a couple of massive PS1250 power supplies, A300 power amps. So this part's cool. This is the PS1250 on their source rack, where all the brains of the operation are, and they let me play with the input distortion measurements and see what kind of quality power they were getting at this convention center. So there's the input waveform. You can see it's real squared and janky. 4% distortion, that's pretty bad. And then you look at the output, 0% distortion. So when you're in an environment like that where you've got all your entire range running off of the power that's being provided at this convention center with all these sound systems and all sorts of things plugged into it, having that power conditioner smooth out that sine wave makes a huge difference. Right, so this brand here, the next room, is called Audio Vector. It's a Danish brand. They've got a few different ranges of speakers. They were quite nice sounding. Got these big ribbon tweeters at the top. Really, really high resolution for the money. That's what I will say. I'm not sure what the electronics were, but it was a good sounding room. I liked it. Right, okay, so these big speakers. These are called Martins. They were kind of, you know, potentially the star of the show in terms of the space that they occupied and how many people were talking about them. As you can see, they are huge. They look very pretty. Lots of lovely wood grain and carbon fiber, and each channel has a dedicated mids-highs tower and a dedicated subwoofer or bass tower. Each of those bass towers had 15, I think 8 or 10 inch, somewhere around that, bass drivers on each one, so there's 5 on the front and 10 on the back. They're absolute behemoths, and they're powered by all these great big amps. Yeah, there's me standing next to it for scale. The Martins, huge big speakers, massive soundstage, huge wide soundstage. You could hear they had heaps of power and presence, but there was not really much emotion to them. No juice, no pulp to the music. It was just kind of flat, big. It was very big, but I could hardly hear the mid-range and the treble because there was so many bass drivers on those speakers. It was just kind of like being assaulted by by very powerful speakers. Obviously a lot better sounding than public address speakers, a lot better, but like knowing the value of them and looking at how amazing they look, I was, I think, a little bit underwhelmed. I expected a lot more for the money, especially because those speakers alone would be easily 1 or 2 million. Some big Wilson speakers. They were again they were, in my opinion, actually better than the Martins. Very accurate, but for me personally, a little bit clinical. But that often comes with accuracy. Highly accurate reference level speakers, maybe to plebs like me, often sound a little bit clinical. These are cool. These are Air Force turntables. This is actually, I don't know if any of you know this, but this is one of the Air Force Zero is Terry's dream turntable. They're pretty expensive, but very, very well made and highly accurate. Yeah, this was the money room. You could just see the amps and everything was just massive. Right, so this room had some Magico speakers in it. Magico, I didn't really recognize anything else in the room. I didn't think a whole lot of that room. It was quite small, and I didn't know the music, and the Magicos are kind of, for me, a little bit dry. This room I liked a lot. These are ELAC speakers. Not a really, really high-end brand or anything like that, but these were really nice sounding, and I like the finish of them. I like the dimpled mid-bass and bass drivers. More Basso Continuo racks there as well. They're the reference series by the looks of it. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by these. I'd never heard ELACs before and I kind of want to sell them. Room directly behind that had some more Wilsons in it. Yeah, didn't think much of that room. Luxman room had quite a bit of stuff. I don't think we really sat down and listened too much in the Luxman room. We just kind of looked at all the electronics. Focal. Oh, is this the Luxman room still? Big Focal speakers? No, I'm not sure. More Focal speakers. This was cool. I kind of just filmed this because I thought it was kind of cool having a power box or a power conditioner or whatever it's called that just says Power Company on the front of it. I thought that was just kind of cute. All right, this is a 8-box CD player on the right hand side. It's the way they explained it to me is you've got a transport seen on the top right with a power supply, a digital processing unit with a power supply, an analog output device with a power supply, and a master clock, and a fourth power supply, not a power supply just for the clock, but apparently a power supply that somehow makes the whole system dual mono. That's what they explained it, how they explained it to me. That's a lot of cables and a lot of racking for one CD player, but yeah, I guess that's the level you go to when you're at the top end with these speakers. I don't remember that room very well. Seems alright though. Oh, these are New Zealand made AG lifter racks, that's why we went into that room. Another big multi-box CD player with all that stuff in the middle, one big CD player. I love this, the contrast of the speakers in that room is funny. Okay, these are Piega. These are a Swiss company. I really like these speakers. The cabinetry is solid aluminium, same as what Magico do. So it's really, really inert. There's no cabinet noise whatsoever. But the shape of them is the lute, which is what Sonus Faber do. It's got that curved shape where it goes to a point to cancel out internal standing waves. Really big pleated diaphragm tweeters, which have a really effortless and open, sweet sound. Yeah, I didn't take a note of what electronics it was, but I really liked the sound of them. And these wee ones here are quite skinny. Like I put my hand over it, and they're like, yeah, you can see that they're not super big. They're kind of almost reminiscent of the early 2000s surround sound satellite speakers. And they do them in all these cool color finishes as well. You can see there's some green ones there, there's some blue ones, obviously black as the standard. Yeah, I really like those speakers. That's me, it's personal. They do these cute wee Ace series ones, which are quite small wee things, but very high resolution. And all these different metal color finishes you can see some examples of. Alright, this is the Fyne room, which was powered by Dan DiAgostino and some other quite high-end brands. They've all got this very retro, classic sort of styling with, you know, boxiness, boxy squares with fabric grills on the front, and yeah, there's a carbon fiber isolation shelf and some feet there. There's a lot more isolation product at the show than I expected. It's obviously quite popular. 3-phase power connector. More Fyne speakers. I don't mind the Fyne speakers. They do a lot of things that I like the dual concentric design punches the treble straight through the bass and really clear and open sounding, but they do have a kind of a woolly, woody, cabinety sort of sound to them, so a little bit more like knock-knock, kind of boxy sounding speakers than what I'm used to. They look good though, very cool looking. And I believe they're quite popular in Japan, like Accuphase use them. Dan DiAgostino preamp. This was quite funny. I showed this to a few like friends and family and stuff like that, and their first guess, all of them said, "Oh, is that a new coffee machine?" Obviously, just the gauge on the front of it kind of, you know, made them think it was something other than not what it was. Very classic styling speakers coming back into fashion with the knobs. Quad QSPs, exactly the same as they always have been. Yep, still semi-active, obviously, electrostatics. These are very good sounding speakers, but not a lot, well, there's a lot to look at, but not very nice to look at if you ask me. They're just big black rectangles that you can't see through. A lot of tubes in that room, probably a lot of money just in those tubes. These are cool, these are Dali. I didn't get to hear them, I wish I could have. They are very pretty speakers, the Dalis, and a very nice glossy wood grain finish with some leather and stuff. And they do these cute wee plasticky lifestyle speakers in different colours and wood grains. This is the Yamaha room. There was a lot of those Yamaha GT5000s around being used. They're obviously quite a popular, reliable Japanese turntable. Some NS5000s there. Didn't get to hear the NS5000s, but we did get to hear the NS3000s, which I think is what's up next. Yep, there they are. How the NS3000s sounded, kind of like a whole lot of right down the middle. They didn't have too much of this or too much of that, or not enough of this and not much of that. They were just very middle sounding. Didn't really take my liking. I thought that I like my music with a bit of colour and flair and character to it in a way that is still accurate. Like these were just very vanilla, is probably a good way of putting it. Lynn had a couple of rooms. These are quite cool. They obviously do great turntables, quite a bit of electronics and lifestyle-y stuff, and some pretty unique speakers. With their, they've got speakers that are entirely passive, entirely active, and a mixture of the both. Big power amps. Yeah, these speakers were semi-active, semi-passive. You can see they've got power cable there for the subwoofer built into it, and then tri-ampable passive stage. Some Sondex. The ultimate hobbyist's turntable for upgrading parts. This is the second Lin room with just a slightly more humble system. This was the Esoteric room. They had a lot of horn speakers in here. Some wee Fynes playing in the middle, I believe. I don't know what brands the huge big horn things are, but I just thought they're kind of cool to look at. Very cool cabinet work. Some big Esoteric power amps. I mean, this is the music they were playing. It's not really the sort of thing I can judge something on because I don't really know it or like it that much. Actually, big Grandioso turntable there from Esoteric. That's quite a behemoth of a turntable. Looks very impressive. Okay, these. I forget exactly what these were called. I think it was Phase Nation or something like that, or I'm not sure. But they, of all the huge, high-end, expensive speakers at the show, these were my favourites. Just really well balanced and very sweet sounding. I think it may have helped though that it was a smaller room. You can see it's only really 2-3 rows of listening. It was a smaller room, even though they're huge speakers, and they sounded really good. I like them more than I liked the Martins or the Wilsons. That's the Macintosh room. We didn't stick around to listen too much to this room. We just sort of had a wee nosy. Macintosh is not one of our brands, but we always like to keep an eye on it. There was some Nordos there as well, which we were looking at. You can actually see the new Nordos network switch just sitting next to that Vidar there. It was quite cool seeing a Vidar at the show. This is the Marantz room. They had like their Amp 10 and Link 10 going with Bowers & Wilkins 800 speakers. Not really my favourite combination. It's a little bit too clinical for me, but very accurate. And Marantz, I think, has a pretty, like their top end stuff is pretty well designed. I do like the finish of those Bowers & Wilkins, I must admit. The burl wood is definitely one of my favourites. JBL, quite nice. Those I quite like those white and oak ones. Some very classic style speakers, some L100s. Yeah, that's basically it. Okay, well, cool. That's basically all my footage from the Hi-Fi show, guys. It was a really cool experience. My first time at a proper Hi-Fi show. I love the city of Tokyo. Definitely going to go back there sometime. Really awesome place. I totally get now what Terry has always told me about how you can spend like $1 billion on a hi-fi system and have it sound fine. You know, there's some rooms there with millions and millions of dollars spent on equipment and that sort of thing, and they were good, but they didn't really, you know, for me, connect to my emotions. They didn't have the magic or anything like that. And I have to, you know, give the brands the benefit of the doubt. Okay, they're in not ideal rooms with lots of people in them, lots of other speakers in the room interacting with them, and all of the brands of electronics and cables that they are paired with are also just whatever the distributor happened to have in their arsenal, as opposed to combinations that retailers would design. But it is very interesting, you know. You'd think that multi-million-dollar speakers would really like wow me. But honestly, I'd like, compared to the Martins, I just preferred going to the TAD room. They were much more enjoyable to listen to. But each to their own, you know. Yeah, that's basically my video on the Hi-Fi show in Tokyo, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions about some of the stuff you may have seen in the footage that you want to ask me, chuck it down in the comments. The next video to come out after this will hopefully be the Accuphase factory tour. That was one of the best days of my career in hi-fi, meeting Jim from who founded Accuphase and going through their factory and seeing how they do everything was just absolutely amazing. So I'm excited to show you guys the full process of that. It might be a little bit of a longer video, but from what we've had feedback-wise and analytics, it seems like you guys who like Accuphase don't mind the longer videos and are happy to watch it all. So yeah, that's what's going to be next. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys, and I'll catch you in that next one. Ka kite anō.